Good morning! This is Sara Sach with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this candy corn hat. It's the best hat to make if you're going to go to a Halloween party, but you don't want to dress all up. You can whip it up really quickly. It's all made of double crochet stitches except the band, and we'll do some front post double crochet stitches, but don't worry, I will show you how to do it. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link right down there in the notes underneath the video. The candy corn hat, made as the pattern is written, will fit a head about 20 to 22 inches, which is a youth to adult size. We're going to be stitching today with our eye hook. This is a 5.50 millimeter crochet hook. We're going to need a couple of fun buttons. I put hearts on this one, but you can put whatever kind of buttons that you want, and I'm going to use these two for our demonstration. You're going to need a needle for weaving in those ends and a pair of scissors. For the yarns, you're going to need 3 different colors of worsted weight number 4 yarn: white, orange, and yellow. I'm using Red Heart Super Saver today, and just their basic orange, yellow, and I'm using an off-white for this one. You'll need about an ounce to an ounce and a half of each color. We're going to begin starting our stitching at the top of our hat, and we'll work our way down to the band and then put our buttons on. It's a super easy hat. It's all double crochet till we get to the band, and then we'll do some front post double crochets for the edge. To begin, we're going to need to start with our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 4 chains. The first 3 chains will count as a double crochet, and then we're going to stitch 7 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over, go in that chain, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through the second 2 loops. So there's our double crochet. So we need to do 6 more double crochets right in that same chain. We're counting our first 3 chains as a double crochet, and then we're stitching 7 more double crochets, which will give us a total of 8 double crochets. Let's count. Here's our chain 3, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Need to do 1 more, and there's 8. We're going to join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch. Just yarn over, go through the stitch, and then pull that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then we'll chain 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So there's the top of our hat. So for row 2, our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. In the next stitch, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. Whoops, there we go. 1 and 2. Then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3 double crochets. There we go. And then this last double crochet, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. We began with 8 double crochets, and on row 2 we have 10 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. And you can see that it forms that little point that's at the top of our hat. Now for row 3, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each double crochet around. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we'll stitch another double crochet in that same stitch. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in each double crochet around, and that's going to make us go from 10 double crochets to 20. We're placing 2 double crochets in each double crochet around, and then we'll join to the top of our chain 3. I stitched 2 double crochets in each double crochet around, and now I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. For this next row, we're going to begin with, we have our chain 3, counts as a double crochet. We're going to put 1 double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3. Then we'll double crochet 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Then the next stitch, we're going to double crochet 2 double crochets. The way this row is stitched up is what I call 1 and 2. There we go, a little knot. So we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next double crochet, and then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next. So we're stitching 1 and 2. One double crochet in the next double crochet, and 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. One double crochet in the next double crochet, 2 double crochets in the next. So we're stitching what I call 1 and 2. It's just a way to increase and make the hat flare out a little bit for the top of the hat. So we're stitching 1 double crochet, then 2 double crochets in the next. 1 double crochet, 2, 1, 2, all the way around this row. And then again we'll join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. We're going to be stitching 5 rows of the white, and then we'll stitch 5 rows of the orange, and then we'll put the band on. I'll also explain to you when we get to that point how to make the hat a little bit longer if needed, and then of course how to do those front post stitches. All right, so I'm almost all the way around here. 1 and 2. Alrighty. Now I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 and chain 3. And that's how your first 4 rows should look. For row 5, it's similar to row 4, only we're doing 2 and 2. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3, and then we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next. So the way this row will work is 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochets in the next. That's why I call it doing 2 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and then 2 double crochets in the next. And we'll repeat this all the way around this row, and then we'll join to the top of our chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3 because at the end of this row we're going to be changing colors to our orange. So continue on around, stitching 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. I finished my 5th row. I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3 with a slip stitch, but I'm not going to chain 3. I'm going to cut my yarn. So I'm finished with the white, and I'm going to join in my orange. We're going to take our orange, wrap it around our hook, and pull it through that loop. Snug that down and chain 3. We needed to change colors before we did the chain 3, because if we did a chain 3 before, we would have 1 double crochet, because our chain 3 counts as a double crochet, in white, and it would not look nice. So that's why we did the chain 3 after we did the color change. Alright, so let's do a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now you'll notice I stitched over those tails, and then I'll just put the pieces that are left over to the back, and I do that just to help at the end when it's time to weave it in. Just makes it a little bit easier. Alright, so here's our chain 3 and our 1 double crochet together. Then we did 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and now we're going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch. For this row, we're doing 3 and 2. We're doing 1 double crochet, in the next 3 stitches, and then we're doing 2 double crochets together. 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and 2 double crochets in the next. And this is the way that row 6 is stitched. One double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then 2 double crochets together. We'll do this all the way around, and when we get back to that chain 3, we'll join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch, like we've been doing on each round, and then we'll chain 3 because we're not changing colors until we get to the we're not changing colors until we get to the headband portion of the hat. I finished row 6, 3 double crochets and then 2 double crochets together, joined to the top of my chain 3, and now I'm going to chain 3. Now for row 7, it's similar, only we're going to have 4 double crochets before we do our 2 together. So we have our chain 3, we're going to stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And then we'll repeat that. 1 double crochet in the next 4 double crochets. 1, 2, and this is 3. And 4. And then we'll put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 4 double crochets, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And we'll repeat this all the way around. Then we'll join to the top of our chain 3 like we do on every row or round. So this is how this row will work. 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, 1 in each stitch, and then 2 double crochets together. Repeat all the way around. Then we'll join to the top of our chain 3. I finished this row, joined to the top of the chain 3, and now I'm going to chain 3. And we are all done with increases. From now on, we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And so we're on row 8, so we'll just place 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, no increases, and we'll do this all the way around our hat. We get back around to our chain 3, we'll join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. Now, if you're working along and you feel like the hat is too big or too small, you can always adjust your hook size to a smaller hook or a larger hook for that matter if you want to change your stitches as far as their size. For instance, this hat's going to fit about a 20 to 22 inch head. That's youth to adult. But if you want to make it just a little bit smaller, you can go down to an H or maybe a G hook and stitch those stitches just a little bit tighter, and it will come out a little bit smaller. Make sure you measure with your measuring tape as you go to make sure your stitches are consistent. So I'm just going to continue around this row, stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and then join to the top of my chain 3. I completed row 8, joined to the top of my chain 3, and now I'm going to chain 3. The next 2 rows are exactly like the row that we just stitched. Just get my hook in there. There we go. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to just stitch 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Like I said, no more increasing or decreasing, just double crochets. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of the chain 3, and then repeat. So row 9 and row 10, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of our chain 3. We'll have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of orange. We have 5 rows of the white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 rows we're going to have of the orange. So row 9 and row 10, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, join to the top of the chain 3, and chain 3. But at the end of row 10, don't chain 3 because we're going to change colors to our yellow. I finished my 10th row, which is 5 rows of white and 5 rows of the orange. Now, if you feel like this hat is not going to be long enough, you can always add more rows of orange if you want to. And when we start adding in the yellow, you could also add more rows of yellow if you want to make your hat just a little bit longer if you think it's needed. So we went ahead and joined to the top of our chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3 because we're going to cut our yarn and change to our yellow. And now we're going to chain 3. So let's snug that down. There we go. 2, 3. And now for the next 2 rows, we're going to do exactly what we've been doing. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. And that's why I said if you want to make the hat longer here, you can add more rows of the orange or more rows of the yellow, whichever that you prefer. Okay, so pull out a little more yarn here. So as you can see, we're just stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around, and we're going to do this for 2 rows, and then we're going to start the headband or the hat band portion of our candy corn hat. So just to repeat, 1 double crochet in each double crochet around for 2 rows. We've completed the 2 rows of yellow for our candy corn hat. Now, if you don't want to do the front post double crochet rows, you can just do 2 more rows of double crochet and be done with it. I just really like how the front post double crochet looks and also gives a finishing touch to the hat. So we're going to chain 3, and I'm going to explain to you how to find the post. So normally when we stitch along the top. When we stitch a front post, this is the portion of the stitch that is the post. So we'll wrap our yarn around our hook and we'll go around that post and we'll stitch a double crochet. That's called a front post double crochet. Then in the next stitch, we'll just stitch a regular double crochet. Then the next stitch, we'll do a front post double crochet. And we'll alternate this all the way around our hat. A double crochet, then a front post double crochet all the way around. And you'll see that it forms just a really nice finishing band, and it also pulls the hat in just a little bit so that it stays put on your head. So let's yarn over, put our hook through the post of the next stitch and finish the double crochet, and then in the next stitch we'll stitch a double crochet. So we're alternating the front post double crochet with a regular double crochet every other stitch all the way around our hat, or hat band, or headband of the hat. It's called several different things depending on who you're talking to. We'll just call it our hat band. How about that? Sounds good to me. So double crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. And we'll repeat this all the way around, and then we'll join again like we have on every row to the top of our chain 3. I finished the first row of the front post double crochet, and we're going to do another row, and the second row is super duper easy. So we'll go ahead and make our chain 3, and we're going to do our front post stitch in the front post stitch, or should I say around the front post stitch. So we'll yarn over, we'll go around that front post stitch and stitch a front post double crochet. Then we'll go to that next stitch and stitch a double crochet right in the double crochet. And this is just going to give the band a little bit more, I don't know if substance is the right word, so that it's nice and thick and really stands out and gives our hat a really nice finish. All right, now you can really see those front post stitches really standing out. And so we'll just repeat this all the way around. 1 double crochet in the double crochet and a front post around the front post. 1 double crochet in the double crochet and 1 front post in the front post. I really love how it gives a really great finish to a hat. And like I said, it pulls it in just a little bit so that it stays put on your head. Doesn't that look awesome? You got your front post stitches and then your double crochets in between for a really nice finish to our hat. So I'm going to continue on working one double crochet in the double crochet and the front post around the front post all the way around. And then when we join to the chain 3, we're going to tie off because we'll be finished with our hat, except of course if we want to add some buttons or ribbons or any kind of embellishment that you want. So just to repeat, double crochet in the double crochet and a front post stitch around that front post stitch. I finished that second row of alternating double crochets and foundation double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn. There we go. I'm going to pull that loop to the back side of my hat and then tie off. There we go. And then I'm just going to use my needle and weave that end in. Just go one way, make sure I go through stitches and not holes, and go back the other way, and then go back the other way. Give it just a little pull and clip. Looks like I got a couple more to weave in here also, but we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so there's the back. I'm going to turn it over because this is the front of my hat. And the next thing that I want to do is sew on those buttons. And I chose this little oval orange one and this yellow one to put on my hat. And I like to use different kinds of buttons that maybe aren't like matchy-matchy. Like I have candy corn buttons, but I didn't want to put candy corns on a candy corn. So I thought I would just make it a little bit more fun. So I'm going to just thread a piece of yellow yarn onto my needle, and I want my button to be right here, so I'm just going to sew a little loop like this. Then I'm going to add my button, I'm going to sew it on a couple of times, going back and forth. There we go. All right, I'm going to take my hook and I'll pull that string underneath. And when I do buttons, I do tie knots. And then what I'll do is I'll just put a little dab of fray check or fabric glue right on that knot, and it will keep it from coming out. Now I don't use knots all the time, only on buttons or places where it's just going to be difficult to weave it in. And sometimes if I haven't left myself enough yarn for weaving in, then I have to use a little fray check, because I do not want my buttons to come off or whatever I'm working on. I would rather use a little dab of that fray check or a little dab of that fabric glue and know that they're going to stay put. Alrighty. Make sure this button's going to stay. I'm going to use my hook and pull that loop to the back. There we go. And again, just tie a little knot. When you're sewing your buttons on, make sure you go through stitches, not through holes, or your button won't stay put. There we go. All right, so there is our candy corn hat with a couple of silly buttons. Here's this other one I did, and you can see the orange is a different color, and I used heart buttons. So it's up to you what colors you want to use. Lighter orange or darker orange. I used a bright white. Here's an off-white. This is a bright yellow, and you can't tell, but this is more of a cornflower yellow. So this is my candy corn hat for youth to adult. Great way to dress up a little bit for the holiday, for Halloween, without having to put on a whole costume if you don't want to.